Good evening from Bali. Susan here. So as many of you know, I'm a psychologist, and tonight I wanted to talk with you about Fast Track for Kids, and specifically working with the inner child. So as many of you know, uh, many of us have issues with our inner child. Issues where we're blocked in our feelings, we're stuck in an issue from the past with our parents and a school problem, something bullying, things that happened at a younger age, and that for whatever reason we haven't been able to release these. So Fast Track for Kids, although it was developed to work with children, has turned out to be a great tool for working with the inner child. And so this is what I wanted to share tonight with you, just a brief discussion and overview of what working with the inner child with Fast Track for Kids looks like. The best way, of course, to learn this and understand it is to go to an intro. And whether that's in Malaysia, Thailand, or here in Bali, that would be your first choice, right? But of course, sometimes you can't do that. And so I wanted to just go over some of it today and see how it goes, see if this gives you a feel for it. And of course, please, I'm happy to answer any questions or talk more about it, that kind of thing, okay? So the first thing for working with the inner child, of course, is to find the inner child. So very often people know what their inner child is having a problem with. So they know that they're stuck. I had one woman who knew she was stuck at age 6, something that had happened to her at age 6, and she was still churning around about it. Other people know at teenage years, something that has happened or problems they had with their parents at that time, that kind of thing. So sometimes people will know what the issue is and what the age is anyway of the problem, and sometimes they won't. So if they don't know, then we have a procedure of finding out for them what a good age would be. And this may not be an age that makes any sense to them. So for example, someone the other day I was seeing, we got the age of 10. Well, 10 meant nothing to her. She had like no reaction to it. It was like, I don't know what this is about. It just didn't click. But we went forward anyway with the cards. And of course, what happened was all kinds of stuff came out. As soon as she saw the cards, all of a sudden the stories came out about what life was like for her at age 10. And it was very, very enlightening for her to remember that and to see that it had been still stored in her subconscious, even though she had no conscious awareness of it at the time before we did the cards. So to get to the cards, I just want to show you something about the cards, okay? So the first thing that we do is we ask people to look at the cards and to either tell a story if they already have an age and things, and or to just look at the cards and see which cards jump out at them. That's a way that I like to do it, to see the way that the cards, they respond to the cards, what cards respond to them. And so just as an example, I have a couple of cards, several cards here. We have sad, left out, and different. Okay, these are just examples of the cards. And so the person chooses the cards and then tells a story about these cards. And also where this happened. Did it happen at home, at school, in your family? Was it a bullying situation? Those kinds of things. But they tell a story, and so they often go into some detail about this story in terms of their feelings. How did they feel about what happened? That kind of thing. And then we do a release, and this is a release that's over the head, an energy release. And it works very, very well. Occasionally people will find it a little bit strange or have judgments about it. But those who do it find it very helpful. So we do that. We also ask, where in your body do you feel these feelings? And what level are they from 0 to 10, 10 being the most intense? And this is to get a feel for the intensity. How intense is this? And then we do the releases again in terms of where in your body is this? Can you release more of these feelings from your body? And say they started at an 8. The number was 8 in terms of intensity. With the first release, very often they're down to a 5, sometimes lower. And then with the second release, they're even lower, sometimes say to a 3. And then we ask, so what will help you release this more? And do you want to release it more? Because, of course, occasionally people don't want to release everything. They want to hold on to some of these issues. They're not quite ready to release them yet. But let's assume that they do want to release these feelings that are a problem for them. So we ask them what would be helpful. And we have a group of cards for this. They're called the needs cards. And of course we can make other cards as well if there's nothing included in the ones that we have. Excuse me. But as an example, I picked 2 of the ones from the needs cards, and this is listened to and supported. So we add these to the cards they already picked. And so we release the feelings, the sad, left out, and different. And included then in this next release is to release those feelings and then to allow the person to allow themselves to be supported and listened to. Because of course sometimes we don't allow ourselves these kind of experiences. So to allow them to be supported and listened to, and then again we get a number, and very often it's 1 or 0 by this time. So then we move to the final stage, and this is where we ask the person, how would you like to feel? So they've released at least most of the feelings that were a problem for them, so they don't have those now, but how would they like to feel? And this, for me, is such a great experience, because so often people don't really get it, that they have a choice, that they can choose how they want to feel. And so this is just, as a matter of fact, in the game, it's no big deal, but we just ask them, how would you like to feel? And again, we have cards for that. And I'll just show you 2 of the ones we have, safe and loved. And there are other cards, and again, you can add your own as well when you're playing the game. So for this last part, we have them hold up the cards and look at the cards. Enjoy those feelings of loved and safe, and then ask them, and who can give you these feelings? And this is assuming we're working with a 10-year-old. And then we ask them, can your older self, your adult self, give you these feelings, give your younger self these feelings? And of course, usually the answer is yes. And is there anyone else who can give you these feelings? Because sometimes they have a very close friend, a partner, someone like that who also can help. But of course we encourage them to give them to themselves so that they understand that that's a possibility, that they don't need somebody else to give them these feelings, but that they can give these to themselves, help their younger self. So what we then say is, when you're ready, allow these feelings to come into you. When you say yes, allow these feelings to come into every single cell in your body. And in Bali, we also say, and into your heart. So they say yes. And you can see how people are really allowing these feelings to come in. You can see them kind of glued in a way, to these cards, and really enjoying the feelings of coming into themselves. So that's the game, and it's fast. It rarely takes more than 20 minutes, unless the person has a very complex story, and then that may take longer. But then we can also process some of that in terms of talking about, what they got out of it, that kind of thing. But it's a very fast game. It is a game, so it's fun to play. It's very intense, so lots of feelings come up, and people feel greatly relieved afterwards. And I think it's such a great tool for psychotherapy, for psychotherapists, for school situations, school counselors, school situations, kids as well. This one we're talking about inner child, but for children as well. It's the same process for children as for the inner child with adults. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye-bye.